Mike Piellucci. I think he could be I think he should be the editor of D Magazine.
I think he has what it takes. I don't know why Jake doesn't.
Jake is like, I can't even believe he's a writer.
Has the right stuff.
But wrote this article, Dirk is Anchorman. It is the cover story for D Magazine, and it is about Dirk Nowitzki. I've never done this before, but I listened to the article.
How was that for you? It's not a short article.
I didn't like it because the lady, it was like an AI lady, and she was mispronouncing some words, and I thought, I want to hear Mike Piellucci read this article.
We actually, the great Mike the Machine Marshall, now my coworker / pal at D Magazine, I think he was saying we got to start actually recording our own story. So I will do that next time for whatever the next story is. So yeah, sorry, they treated you to the lady who's mispronouncing stuff. What words was she mispronouncing?
No, I mean, it was very hot. I enjoyed listening to her read it. But
you're writing about Dirk. I doubt
just
she's
a couple
nailing
little
Holger.
Yeah, just a couple little things. That's all. That's
Sweet
what
ones.
that
Can I
tipped
tell
out.
you why
Nothing
I like
egregious though?
I like the listen to the article thing because I don't think I'm for a guy who works in this field a great reader. But then it says this is going to take like 37 minutes, or even when it says
that's what I did, and I thought
it says 9 minutes.
What if I go for a walk and I listen to it?
Yeah, but if I read it in less, then I'm like smart.
Yeah.
I beat the expectations, but it's a great piece.
Dirk is Anchorman. What happens when Dallas's biggest sports hero gets a desk job? And it is about Dirk really getting the gig for it's the NBA studio show on Amazon.
Yeah, he's doing studio. They got a whole group of them that are doing play-by-play. Like Dwayne Wade's doing play-by-play. Dirk not doing the play-by-play, doing the studio, being at the desk, being the anchor man, which is why we convinced him. It wasn't much of a convincing. We just asked, would you want to dress up as Ron Burgundy? And he was pretty down because he's pretty much the best.
He really is.
That was a weird when the magazine came
bid.
in. And first of all, these pictures are so cool. Certainly, you've seen a lot of people being like, what is this AI?
Oh, dude, everywhere.
Yeah. It's an annoying part of life now that if you do something really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they got this perfect and everyone's like, fucking AI. But my wife, sort of sports fan, was like doing the math in her head. And she's like, does Dirk know Anchorman? And I tried to explain to her that in a weird way. So Anchorman was 04. Dirk is 99. In a weird way, Dirk might be like more culturally aware than a lot of Americans on stuff like this because he lived in a locker room. And those guys are quoting movies all the time. You know, it's not like he went to work at Microsoft when he moved here. Like he was forever in youth culture. And I'm like, he definitely loves Anchorman. I would assume he was very aware.
He was aware. He hadn't seen it in a long time. So there's a lot of stuff like there. You know, I think like the stay classy part he knew. But like when we did the shoot, we were running video too, and so I'm feeding him Anchorman lines, and there were definitely ones that are bigger ones that he was just laughing. He's like, "This is ridiculous." I'm like, "All right, so you forgot the movie," which is fair because you know he probably saw it like once, like 20 years ago, and he's moved on. But he knows it exists. He didn't like completely go like, "What is this?"
So you had him over for a photo shoot?
Yeah.
Or you went to his place?
No, we did not go to the Dirk Dome. What would the Dirk Mansion, the Dirk Chateau? No, we went to a little studio off of Stemmons, and basically the timing was weird because he goes to Europe every summer for like months, and so in the magazine business is the October cover. Things really got to be done and written and put together by mid to late August. So what happened was this whole process really started. The news leaked in December he was doing Amazon, and I texted Scott Tomlin, who is Dirk's kind of right-hand man, used to run PR for the Mavs, best PR dude in town, and I was like, would he talk for something like this? And basically he was like, yeah, possibly, but let's talk when this is official. So basically in January, the whole process really gets going, and I kind of asked him, I was like, look, like what I want to do with this, because the question that I had when I saw him do TV is like, I don't know if you guys, you know, think about this. My first thought is like, I remember 19-year-old Dirk and a dude who was just miserable trying to speak the English language and almost went back to Germany. And if you told that dude that his career would go so well, he didn't have to do anything at all, right? He could just keep traveling the world like he's been doing. And instead he chooses to work a job speaking English to millions of people around the world every single week, 7 months out of the year. Like, how do we get from point A to point B? And so it's really a communication story in a lot of ways, along with just this guy has been here the last 6 years. I feel like he kind of hides in plain sight. Like, we know he's here. We see him pop up for the big things, right? The jersey retirement, the statue, the Hall of Fame. We know he's got a big charity events certain times of the year, but like, I just want to know, it's like, what's he been doing? What's he up to? So they liked that idea, and that got the ball rolling to where we sat down in April, had the first conversation, and then really a couple weeks later, we were basically given one day in May that would work for him between all the traveling he's doing before he went to Europe for the summer. And so we went and we got into the studio, and we got Jay Lombardo to design him a suit that basically is recreating the look that Will Ferrell wore for the cover in the movie. And then we did a whole second set where we recreated the jazz club and bought a jazz flute from Amazon and just told him to go nuts on that thing. And he did that too. And yeah, man, it was a great time. I found out afterwards, Scott had told me when I ran this by him at first, and I was like, we want to be Anchorman. What would you think? And they basically were like, yeah, we could do that. And I guess kind of thinking like this could get real campy in a hurry. But we work with ridiculously good art folks, as evidenced by the fact that people think their work is AI, and they built out sets, so they had everything ready to roll, so that when he got in there, like, the shoot was even faster than what he budgeted time for, and he had a great time, and then he got a big kick out of the whole deal.
I think thinking about him when he first learned English or was very hesitant to speak in English is really interesting, but it extended further than that to, this isn't even a language barrier thing, but if you think about going to the back when it was apparent they were going to win the finals, I know that was a lot of emotion, but in general, it's not just the language barrier, it's the shunning of the limelight.
Yeah.
That is weird for me. I've just never thought Dirk would be a guy who, if it comes up, he'll give you the best 3-minute analysis on what's happening in the league, but he's not going to say, hey, people need to hear from me. I've never thought of him as that type of guy. And that's the part that's really interesting to me. And it seems like to me, first of all, it seems like he's arrived at nirvana. Like he can do anything he wants, and his life right now purely is, what can I challenge myself with and get better at? And this is the next thing. And even though it doesn't seem like something he would naturally do, it does, because it's just trying something hard and getting better at it, which is his whole bit.
I think this is a bad fit, though.
Amazon?
Studio Dirk. I think he'd be an outstanding analyst.
In-game?
But I think Dirk doesn't want to travel. Probably he wouldn't want that announcer. And I don't know what you guys think.
Well, I don't know yet.
I just feel like Dirk is the nicest guy ever. And that's not a good studio analyst.
I don't know if that's a great analyst on a game either, though, right?
Like in your article, he is saying out loud, I'm kind of glad I wasn't there when the Luka trade went down.
Right, yeah.
That's when we need you, especially. I need hot opinions about that. I don't need him just to be take guy, because take guy exists. You've seen it, Kendrick Perkins or something, like guy that gets on TV, and I gotta try to rile people up to prove I'm not going to be a guy that just loves all the players. Like Barkley is take guy, but he also can love the players. I don't know. Shaq, very, funny and will bust balls, and I just don't feel like Dirk is the studio analyst guy, because to this day, I want him to tell me what he truly thinks about this asshole Nico Harrison and screwing up my team and my love for the NBA in general. Like, that has ruined it, and I think it's hurt a lot of people in DFW. And Dirk, though, is good guy, great guy. And I think he hates him, and but he won't say it. He obviously, you pointed out in your article, the only games he went to were the Luka games after the trade. Like, he doesn't support this Mavs, but he can't say that because he's Dirk. But I think he could break down the NBA incredibly. And that's where I think the Amazon people have miscast him. And they're putting him in a studio where he just might not offer the takes. That's my take. I'm take guy.
I think they're going to do a show that I think from talking to him and talking to Nash and talking to other Amazon people, because Nash is doing this with them, I think they see it as an advantage, and I don't think they're wrong about this, that like you look at that NFL media, right? You watch an NFL studio show. The people who are doing this like the product and are smart about the product. You watch NBA shows. It's not all this way, but I mean, what's the stuff that's going viral all the time? People talking about this era sucks, or that dude couldn't play when I played, or all this stuff. And I think they see their advantage as, can we make a fun show that's smart and is positive about the game? And if you look at it, now whether or not that's what everybody wants to watch, we'll find out, right? But if that's what you're going for, that's his sweet spot, because he's going to be smart and he's going to naturally be optimistic about it. And you put him on a desk with Blake Griffin, who he likes and who is funny, and you put Nash on there a bunch of the time with him, and you could see, the stuff that they do on the inside of the NBA where they have the gags, and you could just tell it's dudes who like each other talking ball. That's what this is going to be. So yeah, when the Luka trade goes down and we need to hear Dirk drop the hammer, is Dirk going to? I mean, I think he himself he views that as the big challenge, right? He's not a naturally critical person, and we talked about that. But probably 90% of the time for what they need him to do, I think they're building a type of platform that is like super suited to his sensibilities, because it's not the only network he talked to. NBC talked to him too, and he didn't really vibe with them. I really got the vibe of this thing that, like, if he didn't like all the people as much as he did, that as much as anything is why he's doing this. That and Jake's point about like pushing himself. Devin Harris is his old buddy who does TV with the Mavs now, and Devin was adamant. Devin's like, this whole thing is just a personal challenge from him to himself to be more extroverted. And when I told Dirk that, he was like, yeah, there's something to it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I do think you're right. When you if he knows Blake Griffin, I didn't know that they're buddies at all. Well, but if he does,
they're getting
and of
there.
course Nash, it's difficult to fake chemistry. So to put him with some people he already has some chemistry with will help a lot. And if that's the angle they're going for, the Amazon people, that's not a bad angle, because in our minds, we're going to put everything up against inside the NBA. And so if you're like, we're not trying to be that, that's probably better, because ESPN has been trying to be that forever, and eventually they just had to go buy them.
And, there's a spectrum of take artists, right? Like, I would say, not that necessarily you and I are the best or anything, but we're different than some other things, right? There's a level of thoughtfulness to the ticket that doesn't exist on some other take. You know what I mean? There's a spectrum here. So maybe it is a 90%, 10% thing, but I like Blake Griffin a lot. I didn't really think about him too much during his playing career, but as I've said on the show a couple times, I've heard him on podcasts that I listened to. He was on Stavi's show like 2 weeks ago, and he was funny, like actually funny. And I think Dirk could hold his own on that front too. I got very, I don't know, emotional might not be the right word, but thinking like Nash telling Mike, like, hey, we're coming in as rookies together. Like, we're doing this together. Yeah. Just put me back in that place of your youth. And if anything is going to work for Dirk in this space, I think it would be with Steve Nash, and with a whole new thing that there's nothing to compare it to necessarily. He's not replacing anybody.
Yeah, and that was a big deal. I don't think he would go into somebody else's chair. He likes the idea of kind of being a startup. He likes the fact that, you guys make a show, you know how it is. Like, the stuff people see on air is a fraction of the time you spend with people. And I think everybody who does TV, if you're an athlete, it's kind of, nobody's replacing the locker room, but that's one of the ways that, what are you really doing? It's all these unseen hours with people you care about making something bigger than yourself together. And I think he really embraces that aspect of this thing too. And he flat out said, he's like, look, like if I didn't like these people, and if I didn't, vibe with them, not just the talent on air, but all the production people that I met and the suits and all that, I would not do this, because I don't need to be working every week. I want it to be something fun. And so I think that's where he's going with it, and kind of going with this broader mission of, can we talk about the game and be smart about it and not be a big bummer? Because I think he is bummed out by a lot of the coverage that's out there.
Yeah. Another problem to me is this day and age. So, and the fact that it is new, and we don't, me included, don't give you a lot of, grace. Hey, you're a big time dude. You're being paid $1 million. You're on this major network, and this show is this. Like, if we have the patience to wait 3 years to see what this, organically develops into, like the inside the NBA, I bet you would not think it's that great if you saw their first few episodes.
Yeah.
Or first year or two, maybe even. But now they're humming along. Now you're putting it up against that. It's, a startup against this thing that's already great. And we're gonna judge you instantly. it's the advice we would give our interns or whatever. If you are podcasting nowadays, because that's the way to get your feet wet, get your reps. Don't publish it.
Yeah.
You and TC didn't do that for years. I was thinking, that's a good idea that you had initially, is like actually get some at-bats that nobody ever sees.
Yeah.
But nowadays, you want everybody to see your stuff right away, and now Dirk jumping in there, I don't know. It's just a little worrisome. Nash is a great steady hand, though. He's done the podcast thing.
He's been on TV. He's done soccer.
Done around.
Yeah.
He's also not a guy that's going to get too critical of things, because I think Nash might consider himself to be in that NBA coach pipeline. I might be back there at some point. That's a nice paycheck to get, right? Nice life to live.
You know what's weird about that, though, is like I don't feel like, and maybe JVG and SVG just considered themselves done. And maybe Mark they would be pretty critical. So they're going to have to provide some of that if you're Nash. Like the coaching thing can't be an excuse. It'll be an interesting mix if they can pull it off.
Yeah, I hate to be
Let me
with Dirk. I want to
this.
say everything's going to be
It's not
successful,
gonna be
but
Emmitt Smith.
hell, your article, how he was really into like wanting to be a businessman, and then kind of like,
Yeah.
like he's.
Yeah,
You
we
can
talked
kind
about-
of see if this isn't working out awesome right away. Even Dirk himself might be like, "Hey, I gave it a shot."
Yeah.
So,
and I don't think he's,
If
like,
I
hiding
predicted
that.
anything, I would predict this to be a 1-year deal.
Ooh, there's a take.
But I have to
Teach Dirk your ways with those takes.
Well, it just
I think
I
they'll-
don't
think
want
they'll give
to.
it more than a year because he's a guy who realizes he came to America and wanted to come back for the first couple years, and now by sticking with it, what ended up being one of the best to ever do it. Like I feel like there are guys, like I said, Emmitt Smith. They threw him on television. He clearly didn't prepare at all, didn't take any coaching at all, and they just put him on TV because he was a cowboy.
Yeah, and it was horrible.
Like Dirk is already taking body language, classes is listed in the art. I mean,
Well,
I feel like he'll take it seriously.
Could be too much in your head too sometimes, like
Yeah.
because just naturally he's a gregarious, fun guy to
In the
cool
right
guy
group,
to talk
for sure.
to. Yeah, so I'm concerned.
What does he smell
I'm also
like?
just concerned because it's Amazon, and they haven't actually been doing too well on setting up their shows, their sports stuff. I don't think. I think their NFL coverage kind of sucks.
I would agree with that.
So,
I would agree with that.
what did you ask him?
What
Just
Dirk
a-
smelled like, natural
What Dirk
one.
smelled like?
Natural one. Success.
Dude, one of the best
Victory.
parts of our gig was getting to see him every year.
Yeah.
And he would hug you, and I'd go meet him at the elevator, and he'd remember me from a year before. And
No,
he'd
I
come
interviewed
down.
19-year-old. I don't know if he was 19, maybe 20.
It was early.
But when I first got to town in 1999, that summer, I think he had played here 1 year already. Is 98 his first year?
Yeah.
Anybody know?
The summer of
98.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he would have been 20 at that point.
So he played 98, and then in the summer, I interviewed this 19-year or 20-year-old he was just sitting in the practice courts were at.
SMU, right?
No, it was
Baylor?
South Dallas. It was like a medical
Baylor Medical?
Baylor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to practice
Yeah.
over there. And that was where we first did an interview. And yeah, his English wasn't all there. And, he acted like he didn't know who Ava Braun was. And I probably shouldn't have brought that up. But, it was some time ago. But
Breaking the surface or whatever.
we had to break the surface.
And I guess we forget what it was like in the 90s, right? He is adamant. We talked about this in this interview. He's like, you know why those Loon commercial, like the whole Loon stuff happened? And I was like, no, why? He's like,
The what?
The loon.
the Loon. Everything about when he gets spotted at the Loon and the drunk photos and all that stuff.
Oh,
Nash.
Yeah, but Nash. He was like, it happened because there was nothing to eat after 10 p.m. in Dallas, and this is before NBA teams catered anything post-game. So we had to eat, and the Loon was across from where we lived. So we would just hang out there and get sandwiches, and then you'd hang out there for a while. He's like, so people would think that I was just bar hopping all the time. It's because nothing in Dallas was open after 10 p.m., and NBA teams did not feed us. NBA teams not feeding people in like 1999 is a wild thing.
Yeah, I mean, now it's you
pre-Cubes.
can't get enough. Yeah.
Yeah, Cubes changed everything.
Yeah.
But that was one of the worst franchises in all of sports. The
Man.
Mavs, just a laughing stock.
Yeah, they weren't doing great.
I heard
And
from
they weren't
someone-
about to invest money into these crappy players.
I heard from someone the other day, because we've already opened this wound we might as well keep going.
Keep
Luka?
yeah.
That they were talking to somebody at a local really nice restaurant, and Luka was like friends with the owner to the point where he would hang out late into the night and play poker with the owner or whoever would hang out, which I realize does somewhat confirm like the Nico narrative of, see, this guy's not taking care of himself. But my thought is, that's just Michael Jordan. Like, we had Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Eventually, he was going to figure out sleeping more. He has more kids. He'll do whatever. But in his time here, everyone in the scene loved him because he was acting like a normal person. And he would hang out late. You know, that's a very uncommon thing for athletes now. And, you know, I never vibed with Kobe. And it wasn't. I don't like that sort of like, oh, it's got to be, we're waking up at the gym. Like, a lot of it's performative.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan was playing poker on the day of games or gambling on the golf course and drinking on the day of games. And it's
Ordering
legendary.
a pizza at midnight.
He ate the pizza.
Yeah.
And we had that. And that's the thing that made him get run out. And that drives me crazy.
There's going to be a time this year, I've been saying this, but like they're going to have a stretch this year where they'll lose like 8 of 10 just because I think every team, not even, let's not say 8 of 10. We'll say like 5 of 9 or something. Just some mediocre stretch where they don't look good in December and Luka's just ripping the league apart out in LA, and everything that got buried, like everything that got buried is just going to come back up. We're going to hear loud Fire Nico things. We're going to hear lots of just rage because the Cooper Flag thing is great, and it's nice that the team essentially hasn't, escaped murdering its entire fan base now that this guy is here.
It's not great.
Well,
it's not great because it's giving a lifeline to Nico Harrison.
Yeah, but it's great for the fans who are still there.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I don't like those people. They're not real fans. That's what I say. They're like, oh no, you're not real fans. If you just can, I'm just going to keep supporting this franchise after they did that. You're an idiot.
Well, I think the whole thing, though, right? The reason it's going to come back up is because, like, and the reason that this is a story, the reason we keep talking about it, it's Luka, but it's also like it's a story of power, man. Like, this is, if you have a cultural artifact at Dallas, and that is basically what Luka Doncic is, and people who are not from here decide to take that thing away and kind of openly admit that they don't really know the culture of this organization, and that organization is rooted in the city. That's what this whole thing's really about. That's why when those same people are still running things, it's why it's not going to get better unless they like win a title in the next 2 years, which ain't going to happen. So this stuff is just a very shallow grave. There's going to come a time, Dan, a couple months, when you will be back and the people will be back on your side with this, because it's just there was no real actual closure. There's no real reflection, right? I mean, even the Cooper Flag thing happening, Nico's been retconning it into the narrative about, you see the vision now. And I think people kind of,
it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. But because there's no accountability and there's no thought and there's been no moment of, hey, we hear you. We should have done this better. What can we do better? Because that was the whole Cuban thing. Like him or not like him, Cuban was accessible and Cuban was here. But when the team is owned by a guy in Vegas and run by a guy from Portland, and there's no thought whatsoever about what did we do.
Nash is a great example of this. Cuban made that decision and immediately defended it. I didn't agree with it.
Yeah.
But he came on the station. He came, he would do whatever interview. He did not go hide in the tunnel and not be seen in the public until draft day.
Have the closed-door media session.
He wore it. He's like,
people.
this is what I am doing this. These are the reasons I'm doing it, and I'm going to stand up. And we all said, this is stupid. It's ridiculous. You shouldn't have done this. And he just kept, he's like, bring it on. Like, I'm in charge
over
here.
Lamar Odom.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, for this bullshit, I don't know, man. It's,
can I tell you this? Before we move on for the article, I am glad that the Dirk Amazon thing is happening, because if you're a Mavericks fan, you've always had to fight for your space. I mean, most of my basketball life has been like, you guys are underrating Dirk. Dirk was absolutely the best player in the league at one point in his career. But you're not allowed to say, oh, Kobe. But if we had Luka here, in a weird way, I think it would have kept people realizing how effing great Dirk was alive. because it's like, oh, he played with Luka for a year. You're going to see all these highlights. The Mavericks are still a thing. There was very little, lack. The continuity was there. They were bad for a couple years, but it's Dirk to Luka. Now,
and you're like, he's even better than Dirk.
And now,
Yeah.
They don't have a guy now that's
now there's
better
no
than Dirk.
way that he can have that sort of relationship with Cooper Flagg, even if either one of them wanted to.
Yeah.
And so now Dirk on Amazon is literally the only Mavs thing I have to be excited about. Like, it's that they're gonna play highlights of Dirk against the Jazz and whatever, and I'm gonna be like, oh, Leo meme. So go get a magazine.
Yeah, buy one. Buy one. There's an event too. We're doing an event up in Rollertown on the 24th. Gonna have a little Dirk watch party. Go check that out. dmagazine.com/Dirk event. Being a company man right there.
Nice.
Yeah.
We know all about that.
Yeah.